3, 2, 1.
Добър вечер на сите наши приятели. Вие сте со најновата епизода на Коридор број 8 Македонско-бугарската седенка. Датумот е 5 март. Темата е една година од војната во Украина. Впечатоци после една година од војната во Украина. Денеска наш гостин, наш специјален гостин е нашата добра пријателка од Украина, професор Алина Кhaletska. За да бидеме по-агилни, јас ќе поставам моите прашања на македонски или на бугарски, а Ѓорги, бидејќи е подобар во неговиот англиски, ќе ги преведува на нашата гостинка на англиски јазик. Гоше, можеш да
ја тргнеш сликата.
Да, гласа е сликата.
So,
hello, hello, friends. Glad to meet you tonight, today, and I'm very happy. And thank you for inviting me. A year ago, these days, just a year ago, the 5th of March, Georgi invited me to join this podcast Corridor 8, but last year me and my family, we were in such threats and we are about to die. And I'm happy to join alive and more or less safe. We are not safe. We're in Ukraine, in Irpin city. It is the Kiev region near Kiev. But I'm happy to join you alive today, tonight. It's a great success.
So it's really honor for us to have you in the show. And first of all, before starting our reflections on the year of war, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself in a short way. So I know something about you, but it will be nice for our viewers to know about you, where from you came to Kiev, in Irpin, what is your professional background, etc., etc.
Thank you. Very briefly. I'm Ukrainian by my nationality, and that means that there was no conflict in languages while speaking Ukraine and on nationalities. No conflict. I'm from Donetsk. This is the eastern part of Ukraine, now occupied. It is some so-called Donbas Republic that was occupied in 2014, and I'm the evidence of this occupation, me and my family. And that means I was born in Ukrainian family who speaks Ukrainian language and with Ukrainian traditions, and that means that my values are in a modern view, in a modern prospect, not the old-fashioned USSR. But I was born in USSR, but identified myself and my family as Ukrainians. I have a good education, and in Ukraine, in Donetsk, in Kiev. And before 2014, I became and have the degree, the scientific degree of professor of public administration. And I deliver lectures at the universities and One of my professional background is English language, and that gave me the opportunity to go and work globally in different universities and institutions. I remember 2014 May, and I came back from my international conference from Budapest, NISPASI conference, and it was the last flight, Lufthansa, from abroad to Donetsk. And I remember when going to my house, I thought, what a beautiful city we have. Donetsk is a wonderful city. It was built and reconstructed before the football Euro 2012. And it sounds very beautiful and very modern, I mean, Donetsk. And after that, Russian troops started bombing Donetsk airport, and I am the evidence of this bombing. And after that, we understood that my family and me, we are in dangers. And in July, me, my young son, daughter, and my elderly father, we evacuated from Donetsk. But my husband, he worked in the municipal administration, and he was the head of a department in charge of informational supply and informational distribution, and that is why he was trapped by the Russian occupants and the separatists, and he was imprisoned. And it was horrible.
It's a bad moment.
And we fight to let him free. But from Kiev, because our friends in Donetsk, they told me that in no way you could come back to Donetsk because you were imprisoned as well. And that is why we fight him to let him free. And in 3 months, we let him free. And he lost about 15 kilograms in his weight, and those years he was 50 plus, but he looked like a 70 plus man, and his health was very damaged. It is my background, and then as a professor I had no problem with the job, finding the job, but we lost everything: our houses, our flats, cars, everything. My family house that we have been built for all our life, or our previous life, we have lost everything. It is one of the period of time, and I'm the evidence of Russian invasion and Russian inclusion in this conflict in 2014. We came to the Ukraine territory that was not occupied, and we told to our natives that the war will come to the rest of Ukrainian territory in some years, but almost no one could believe us. And they could in 2022, when at 5 o'clock in the morning, we could hear the air bombing in Kiev and Irpin. At this period of time, I work as a professor at a very famous university. And my father was died, but my grandson was born. But he hasn't got a good health. And we think because of this previous war period of time. I'm coming to the finish of this background story. We have, and I asked my husband, how many days could our Ukrainian army support this aggression at these first hours of 2022? And the answer was traditional, not only for my family. My husband is a professional military man, and he is a good expert in this field. And he told me that maybe 3 days, but maximum a week. But we stayed strong, and my son's family came to Irpin. We didn't know that here we have a much more dangerous Gostomel airport and Bucha in 3 kilometers from us. And when we were bombed, but my grandson, he's not healthy, and he breathing with a tracheostoma. And that is why he was not ready for a long trip to a safe territory. And we needed time for him to recover from the almost 7 hours from Kiev to Irpin. Usually it takes 45 minutes. 7 hours and 45 minutes. And we stayed here in Irpin, and we were without bread, without water, without gas, without electricity. First days we have all these conveniences, but later we didn't have them. And we tried to evacuate 3 times. It was enormously dangerous, but thanks God, we all alive. We evacuated to the western regions of Ukraine. Then I went to Italy, Genova University. They invited me as a visiting professor to Genova University. And then at the beginning of June, we came back to Irpin because our choice to stay here, not to go abroad as immigrants.
Your story raised several questions in my mind. And the first thing is that your personal family history is a very clear proof, in my opinion, that actually the war didn't start a year ago. We speak about a year of war, but this is the full-scale war when Ukraine was attacked from 3 directions: north, south, east. But actually, the war for your family, for the people in Donbass, started in 2014. And do you think that we really should and could count 2014 as the beginning of the war?
Who knows, sir? These are local, regional aggression differs from today full-scale aggression. With the army force. It is the difference because in Donbass we didn't have air attack. But all the rest weapons they used. Then in Donbass, telling the truth, being faithfully, rather a lot of people agreed to Russians come. And I was and am the evidence when my neighbors, my colleagues, they voted at this false election for this so-called republic. 2022, we didn't invite them, and we differ from the propaganda image that they told that we are waiting for them, for Russians, for their political structure, for their goods and values. No. Every Ukrainians in 2022, we were and we are ready to kill, to fight, and to live for victory.
A very strong statement, but I'm really glad to hear this.
Гоше,
Да.
попита Алина, една година след инвазията, след тази агресия, какво значи мира за Украина? Какво разбира Украина под мир? Дали мира значи оставане на сегашната позиция или напълно изтегляне на руските трупи от украинска територия?
After a year of invasion and full-scale war, what peace mean for the Ukrainians now? Does it mean to stay like this, to stop the war, but on the current positions, or it should be understood as a total outdrawal from the Ukrainian territory?
I'm not the military expert. I'm not so good with statistics, but as a professor, I know the statistics and I'm the expert in some field, in public administration and governance. In my professional and subjective opinion, the majority of Ukrainians, they prefer total outdrawal of our territory, including Donbass and Crimea, from the Russian troops. But some of the population, we have optimists, realistic and pessimistic population. As for optimists, they believe that this will happen this maybe the next year. As for realistic, and I'm realistic as well, we are not waiting for some terms. It doesn't matter how short or how long it is going on. The result is important, and this result is the total outdrawal of our territory. And the pessimistic, I don't know, but we have this pessimistic share of population among the total population of Ukraine, like in any other country. And it doesn't mean that they think that to stake like this, but they are more compromise oriented. I mean, peace. Tell me, переговоры.
Negotiations.
Negotiation, something like this.
Okay.
And someone is radical, and the radical they mean to to kill everybody. Excuse my, I'm not smiling because it is curious or it is not serious. I can afford myself to smile because my heart hurts. And my smile proves the stronger character, and that's why I smile.
Тук има прашање од Иван и од Футините луди. На англиски се, фала Богу, ќе може.
Okay, so it's a colleague of yours, a Bulgarian professor in the United States, University of Cincinnati, and our friend Ivan Dinev Ivanov. So he asks how life is these days in Irpin. To what extent is life back to normal? What percentage of people are back in Irpin after the withdrawal of Russian troops?
Thank you. Thank you to my colleague for this question. We have three steps recovery from this first period of this scale attack and invasion. The first period of recovery in Irpin became and started in May. And it was something horrible. When we came back, it is the beginning of summer. I was afraid that I could not survive here. I was afraid for my family, for food provision, for water, for gas, for electricity, but all these conveniences for that period of time in summer we had, and it was almost okay, and I could deliver my classes in Kyiv because I work in Kyiv, and it was a good logistics for this period of time. But we have air attack and some other threats, real threats, not potential. And in autumn, we have much more recovery, reconstruction. And as a mayor said, that percentage of people who came back was almost 50%, but we have additional 25%. They calculated this percentage with their approaches on mayor level. 25% of inner migrants. And for today, the city is full of people, both the inhabitants of Irpin, like me, and inner migrants. And the population is about 80%, maybe 85% from the population at the beginning of the war. And I'm really glad, not happy, but glad. We have all conveniences in our city. We have reconstruction because the Irpin was the city of broken windows. No one flat and no one building. And just a minute, let me show you.
Of course.
And when we came back, we find a lot of this. It is from bombs,
Hmm.
and it was like seeds. And we have for memory in our apartment, in our flat. And for this period of time, the government, with the international support, they reconstructed almost all windows. And we have some cities and mobile cities for people who lost the apartment, their flats, and there are a lot of them, a lot of them. And the very serious uh, period of time for us was blackout. In Irpin, it started at the end of October, and for the end of October, for November, for December, for January, we had something that no one normal, ordinary man or woman could could live with. We didn't have water, we didn't have gas, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have telephone and internet connection. We provided our apartments with some devices. Now we are happy, we are glad that we are skilled with all our devices, new conveniences. And I think that for modern world, I don't mean Ukrainian. Maybe it is different countries in the world with some devices and new technologies that could support us people to survive, to overcome some disconveniences and inconveniences, uh, and to stay safe. But now we're not safe because we have air attack every day. Maybe for Kiev and Kiev region, we have in my telephone, but we adapted for the situation, like in Israel. Uh, we monitor the situation. We know the potential threats and real threats. We can differ these threats. We have shelters. We have some programs proceedings. And my classes and my lecture last week with my students in Kiev Mahila Academy, I deliver classes in the shelter. It is the shelter for music room. We have a piano, but we have connection, and we have some online and offline format. Some of my students were distantly, and they joined our classes and our lectures, and some of them were five of us were with me, and I could deliver classes. We adapted. We are strong.
Well said. We adapted.
Yes. Yes.
No, actually, I I see that you are able to control your emotions. From me, as a side observer, it sounds actually a terrific thing because all the life is changed. Uh,
Mhm.
Sometimes in my work, when I work with some small groups, I use a game that I invented a time ago. It's about a zombie apocalypse and how people survive in such environment. Also, I have another game that is built on War of the Worlds, a famous book, and there are some movies about it. So I was thinking about this, how people could increase their ability to adapt to different situations. But I think that game is not enough. I mean, it's really game. It could make you think about the necessity of
Yes.
adapting to a new situation. But actually, what happened to your country, to your family, to all people in Ukraine? actually is really not a game, but it shows a very high level of adaptivity to different situations, which I admire. I know that it's not easy, but you actually don't have any option if you prefer to stay in your homeland. The only option is to adapt. I think I'm becoming more humble with after this that you told us. Is there another question?
Гоше, можеме да
Тини?
продолжиме со
Yeah.
прашањето на Фотини и после има уште едно прашање од Иван.
Добре. So, Fotini Toludi, she is a professor in the University of Thessaloniki, Greece. She asks, during the period 1914-1922, were you feeling any kind of threat from the Russian side? How you were dealing with that? The Ukrainian government what was doing to prevent this threat?
Okay, thank you. During this period, we were feeling the threat from the Russian side. Me and people from Donbass in particular. Smart people, they felt the threat. But we have got, it is subjectively, I have no statistics, but I'm in communication in my NGO organization. A lot of people were relaxed. They didn't have any relatives on the front line between the occupied territory of Donbass and Lugansk and the rest of Ukrainian territory. They didn't have anyone who were killed. They didn't have anyone who were removed and relocated to the Ukrainian territory. And in my subjective opinion, with the population, we have some rosy illusion of that nothing will happen. Maybe happen, maybe not. We are brothers and sisters. Some of the population, they and a lot of people, they speak Russian. Now in Ukraine, it is our how to say goodwill not to speak Russian. Even those who are not good speaking Ukrainian, like my husband, he's Belarusian, for example. Even he started, he's a pensioner, but it is his goodwill, and a lot of people. It is one side of the next threat, and I will call this threat as ideological, the threat of false values. The so-called hybrid threat. It was not a threat with air attack. It was not threat with anything else. It was the hybrid threat that was aggressive with the propaganda in mind of people. It is one of the threat. Maybe what about how you were dealing with that? Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you. And after my relocation, I felt that my duty is to organize the NGO, non-government organization, and we won and we are supported with the Erasmus Plus project, and we elaborated the project Universities of the Third Age in Ukraine. Why this particular project? To find the link between elderly people who are with USSR or former USSR soft. And how to find this link? And we have found the link with the eastern and with the western part of Ukrainian elderly people. And it was my volunteer work till now. And it was that I would call and I would give the classification like civil society in Ukraine. And I think that 2022, this real, not false, civil society that we could build since 2015, it helped us to overcome, to adapt, to be aware, to be in Ukraine. And this is my answer to the second question. And about the Ukrainian government, subjectively, okay? Not like a professor, but subjectively. A week ago, I could see the program interview of President Vladimir Zelensky to journalists. And one of the journalists asked President Zelensky, like you, what did the Ukrainian government do to prevent this threat and aggression? And President Vladimir Zelensky gave the feedback to this journalist, and he asked, and it was the representative from the previous president party. And he gave her feedback and asked her, what did you do? What did you do? I know that I do, told Vladimir Zelensky. And what did your president do? And it was not breaking the connections, business connection with the Russian Federation. And what about the military support? My husband, he defends the dissertation on the economic security of Ukraine. And we have got statistics. And we could compare strategies and strategic concepts for military security for Ukraine. And during this independent period or period of Ukrainian independence. And when he defended the dissertation, I asked him, oh, mother dear, we didn't have good defense from any aggression. Does that mean that we can lose the war, if any? And he told me that, yes, you're absolutely right. And that doesn't mean that now I fault the previous presidents or presidency, but I strongly believe, and I'm sure that it was doing not enough to prevent this threat.
Thank you for this answer. When you told us that your husband said maybe we will stop the Russian aggression for 3 days or a week, but actually it seems that the defensive abilities of the Ukrainian army are pretty strong, especially these tank columns in the beginning who ride it through Irpin aim at Kiev.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems that in certain aspects the Ukrainian nation was prepared. I don't know if it was a job of the government or the president. Maybe it was the people who actually started thinking in a different way.
Yes.
I remember that during my visit in Ukraine, it was early October 1919, and I remember that when I talked to some guys in Kiev, I felt that these people actually are ready to fight and ready to oppose the Russians. I think they were among these smart people who felt that the war will continue, and they were preparing about this. And also about the ordinary citizens, like the audience when I visited the University of Irpin, and we had some meetings there with our international community. I remember that during my conversation with the seniors in Irpin, they were also a kind of ready. Didn't like the idea, but they were ready.
Yes.
Maybe because they were part of your community, local community, and maybe they had a higher level of consciousness
Yes.
about the processes. But yeah, I was thinking about this, that there are kind of preparedness, readiness for the situation. It would be better if the institutions work even higher. And
Georgi, you're absolutely right. I do think about why we were so strong. Yeah. And briefly, because of the decentralization and the last election final before the war, yeah, they were true, not false. It was real elected mayors. Ukrainians like to criticize everything. It is our national character.
like Bulgaria.
Well, and they criticize the reform of decentralization. But step by step, we have built the decentralized system. What it means? When Russian troops they invaded our territory, and we didn't have army force this or that locally. Mayors and the tertial defense communities, they defend their cities, like in Irpin. The mayor, Markushin, he was elected with real election. It was a real struggle to become a mayor. And he was the head of this defense of the Irpin city. We can see him with a weapon, with shooting. His house was ruined. And decentralization. This is the first. The second, tertial defense community. The next, this is civil society, and with the support and help each other for civilians. Then it's a good some online communication, all this social media. We know all this information. When my good friend called me and told, "Oh, Alina, please go immediately go to the shelter. The tanks went to your region, to your district." It was a year ago, and I took my grandson, and we can go to the shelter. Well, it is social media, and it is veterans. We had good skilled and good qualified professional veterans starting with the 2014, and you know that this front line became for all this period of time, for all these 8 years, and they came back from the war, from this front line, professionally skilled and with competences, military competences. And they now were not in army force, but they were in tertial defense, the defense of their cities. And finally, maybe our new values, and I think the real civil society. It is real. We have a lot of civil society and smart people ready to fight with the aggressors.
Okay.
And ready to kill them, not to tell, oh, how not well that you are here. Almost everybody. Please don't be afraid of Ukrainians. we are peaceful and pleasant people, but real almost. We were ready and we are ready. We will be ready to defend our values.
Well said. Да.
Има прашање од VA за Алина на 8:31.
Uh-huh. So it's a question about Alina, towards Alina. Does she have Russian friends who are against the war? If so, do they live in Russia?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. You can see and meet different two Alinas. One Alina is between 2014 and 2022. And the second Alina is after 2022. The first Alina had friends, relatives in Russia and communicated with them. And even participated in project for reintegration the occupied territory. Intentionally naive to believe that we could be with the soft power together after the occupation. And now the new Alina, 2022 and today, I don't have friends in Russia, and I don't communicate. For me, Russia and Russians, they fade. They not exist.
Short and clear. Okay.
Гоше, ако може, јас едно прашање само.
Two Alinas, it's,
Вака се, што ќе им порача на бугарите кои веруваат дека ова војна може да заврши, како да го кажам, во смисла, кои не се директно, радикално на страната на Украина, туку имат некои илузии дека војната е предизвикана од Украина, а не од Русија. Што ќе им порача на тие бугари, русофили, да ги наречам така малку погрубо.
Okay.
Како човек што е таму во...
As a person, what is your message toward the Bulgarians who have the illusions that actually Ukraine started the war? The Bulgarians who believe in Russian propaganda and maybe think that Russia will win. What is your message?
We like negative news, but we believe in positive future. Sometimes we need the pill to take to believe in this positive future and to ignore negative threats and challenges. And like me, like a lot of my friends are nearby, we were not radicals. Trust me, I was not radical. I am, and I was a peaceful lady. And sometimes pills don't happen. Don't help. Well, and step by step, you understand that it is of your responsibility to believe or not to believe, to take a pill for positive future and for illusion, rosy illusion, and not to take the pill. But it is your responsibility. Sometimes war happens, and you see your neighbors are killed. Young ladies are raped. A lot of your young guys are killed on France. Good. If we started this war, I don't understand why do we need to ruin all our cities, to kill our civilians, to rape our young ladies, to crush our economy. Oh, how crazy Ukrainians we are. Well, I wish you in no way have war on your territory. And it is your choice and your responsibility to take a pill or not to take. Our responsibility, we take our responsibility not to take the pill, but to fight for freedom.
So this topic about the illusions that we are living, and it's not only in Bulgaria, there is also a kind of some pro-Russian sentiments in North Macedonia. I wouldn't say that the majority of the population is like this, but there are people who, in a certain way, connect the war in Ukraine to the anti-European and anti-NATO rhetorics. So they have different geopolitical agenda. These people actually support the exclusion of our countries from the European or NATO family. So there are plenty of things related. The Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama, said yesterday that their report from foreign services about Russian involvement in certain political parties in the Western Balkans, parties in North Macedonia, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm not sure, is it the same about Montenegro now? I don't remember, but the statement of Edi Rama was very clear that there are reports, secret reports that they have received from Western services, investigative services. So there are political parties who have such agenda, who are financially supported by the Russians. It could be proven like this. It's not the market go and pay something, but there are different mechanisms for this. This is why their political voices, there why their media voices, who have such statements. The thing is, it's not really personally about Ukrainian people, but it's very much related to their ideas for a bigger pro-Russian community. So in their dreams, probably your country, our countries, we all should go back to what was 33 years ago. So the Eastern and Western bloc divided on two, and they want us on the same side of the division. So it's something related to this, I think, which is not to excuse actually the people who believe in this propaganda, but it's really. But the topic about propaganda is important, and there are certain myths I think, myths. And I would like to ask you about this. I saw one question, I think it was VV, but I couldn't find now in the chat. But it was related about 2.7 million refugees from Ukrainian refugees to Russia. So what could be the comment? So there are about, I think, 8 million refugees or internally displaced persons around Ukraine and beyond the borders. You were a refugee for a short time. What could be the comment about, I found this. So how to explain these Ukrainians evacuating to Russia?
Mhm. Oh, very, very simple and easy answer. Because we had Ukrainian and Russian good connections and relative connections, and that means that people in finding security, they migrated and evacuated to the relatives, and some of people, they were Russian oriented, and someone didn't have a choice where to evacuate to. As the example, I'm from Donetsk, but Mariupol, you know, the city maybe, he was on the Ukrainian territory. And we have a lot of local programs there, and I know a lot of people from there. And in Genova, I was in Genova, and I met Ukrainian students who were after academic shelter, and some of them were from Mariupol, and they have got relatives, their families, who were evacuated to Russia territory, because they didn't have no choice where to evacuate. And this student, he was very sorry, and he always, all the time, he told, oh, my family was evacuated to Russia, but they are with the Ukrainian values. And I told him, no matter where your family went and to evacuate, they are in safe condition, and maybe in some time, if they want, if they have the opportunity, you will join, you will be together in Ukrainian or European territory. No matter, please do come. And I think that different cases. Some of them have relatives, some of them have no choice, and some of them have their values that are in common with Russian values. Why not?
Yeah. The Russian world. These are the Russian values.
Well,
Русский мир.
and Georgi, what about the propaganda? What about the resources and financing? Starting with 2022, I prefer be involved in the project with public and citizen diplomacy. And I deliver lectures, I deliver courses for students, for civil society, a lot of work, a pile of work concerning to migrants, refugees, to European with the public diplomacy. And I could say as a professor, not subjectively, that Russia invested for all these period or European semester before this 2022 a lot of money, pile of money to finance this propaganda block. And compared with Ukraine, compared with other countries, it is a drop in the sea, in the ocean. And that is why I think that we need time, we need to communicate, we need such discussions. That is why I am here.
We appreciate it.
Well, to be clear, to be open, and to deliver some of my thoughts, of my beliefs.
There is something about the Russian propaganda which is aimed not in Ukraine, but in Russia itself and also in other countries, I would say it's the lie that your country, Ukraine, is a Nazi country. So the official explanation of Putin a year ago was that he will send the troops for a special military operation for a denazification process. What is your comment about this denazification? When I was in Ukraine, I didn't say Nazi people. I didn't saw. I'm sorry. I saw patriots.
Yes.
And not
Yes.
Nazis or fascists. But it seems that in a certain environment, this propaganda works.
Propaganda often works.
Mm.
Well, yes, I agree with you that please don't confuse Nazi with patriots. To speak your native language, to adore, like, and know your native culture, to love and like your native, your traditions. It is not, and that doesn't mean be Nazi. And we are not joined and gathered in the Nazi party or parties. To have civil society doesn't mean to be joined or organized in under the Nazi umbrella, and to fight aggression doesn't mean be aggressive. And now we have to fight with hard power. But I'm trying to explain that not today, but tomorrow, we are going to become soft power, the power of public diplomacy, of people diplomacy, culture diplomacy, and to more awareness of what we are, what you are. I have foreign students from Africa countries and from Asian countries, from China. They were foreign students in Ukraine, and after the beginning of this war, they came back home. But now I have online classes on global leadership, on European integration. They adore the agenda of European integration. And last week they told me, Europe doesn't know about us almost anything, about our countries. And in our countries, people don't know almost anything about Ukraine or about Europe. And when speaking about propaganda, we have to speak about a European semester, starting with the first steps of European integration after the Second World War till now, as the semester of energy security, of security, global security. Ukraine in this row didn't have the subjectiveness. Ukraine was not the subject of foreign policy. She was the object of foreign policy, and that makes the confusion. NATO countries, NATO influence, and now I think that our fight, our dedication to our freedom can show to the whole world globally that now we have our subjectiveness. We are subject of maybe foreign policy, but we need to be the subject of global agenda and global policy in Asian countries, in African countries, in expanded in more scale, and that will work. That will work, and that will help us to combat the propaganda of Russia. Mm, maybe, maybe.
Hopefully. I see that.
Константин,
Yeah, I will ask a very famous historian, Timothy Snyder. He made a whole new course, which is available on YouTube. It's about Ukraine, and it's about the Ukrainian history, society, culture. So, in the context of the war, students and broader audience will be able to get to know much more about the context of what happened now. But for me, especially the denazification, especially playing the Nazi card, is pretty important because our viewers know very well, our audience know that sometimes actually the same card is played against Bulgarians from certain politicians in neighboring countries. So, and not only politicians, also historians. The well-known Professor Chepreganov, who said in a TV studio in Skopje that Bulgaria was and still is Nazi fascist country. So this technique, this is the technology of hatred. This is
Yes.
how hatred is spread by dehumanization of the people, and I think it's very strong way to convince people that they are on the right side by putting everything in black and white. So when you point
Yes.
at someone and saying these people are Nazi or fascist, so they're black, so we are
Yes.
white. So this is the excuse, very good excuse for any kind of war crimes, unfortunately, or supporting war crimes. This is what happened in the Russian society, I think. And it's very important here on the Balkans to keep our strong sense of not following any kind of dehumanizing speech, because we know from our history what happens in such situation, like genocides, ethnic cleansing, etc. As for the refugees from Ukraine, I think you said some of them didn't have choice, and I think what happened, for example, actually when the war started, there were several directions in which the Russian army strongly advanced, like the Kherson area and Mariupol and Nikolaev. So, and it reached these directions and Kherson. So there are plenty of people who actually didn't have any choice really, and they were moved. It's a very well-known tactics of replacement of the population in order to stop support for the Ukrainian army. It always happens with, let's say, unfriendly population. I remember when Melitopol was occupied, there were videos in the first days when thousands of people were on the square protesting against the occupators, but these people were not armed with any guns. They didn't have any option to fight and to do anything, so they just protested. So many people from the civil population could be just placed somewhere far from the front line, and they don't have any choice because they were on the let's say on the wrong side of the front line. And for these people, I suppose it will be hard to live under a Russian control. But there's another specific group of Ukrainian people that I'm interested in. What's going on with the children? We have read a lot of text about Ukrainian children from the occupied territories sent to Russia in special internats or guest families, host families actually. So given to a kind of cultural Russification, or what could happen with these children. It's, I think, a loss. It could be a big loss for the Ukrainian nation if thousands of kids grow up in such a toxic environment.
Yes, it hurts. Well, we have different ways of these migrants and refugees. And the very first stage of this war, we have about 8 million refugees. It's the official statistics. And first of all, I would like to thank our European countries, friends, for this support. Because really, we didn't know what to do. It was really critically dangerous, and it was the real threats for life of people. And among Ukrainians, we have the majority of women with children and the elderly population who moved or relocate to the countries of Europe. And I know that they had and they have and they will have support and shelter. They are supported, and really thank you. We really appreciate this help, and mostly it saves this help. I mean, saved and saves really a lot of lives of our people. And for children who are on Russian territories, we have a complicated and lifelong procedure for human rights and for procedure to return and come back. I mean, these children to the Ukrainian families, to their parents. And it is really a long procedure, but I know and I read about children who were come back to their families, to the Ukrainian territory. I'm not the specialist in this human rights protection and in this procedure, but I know that both in Ukraine and in Russia, they have the institution of human rights defense. Well, but in Ukraine, we have this institution at it combats for returning these children from their host families from Russia, their Ukrainian families to connect. And summarizing this block of questions, I would say that this is a genocide of the Ukrainian population and the Ukrainian people. And it is the hyperbola because we have demographic academicians, and one of them is in front of you because I have the degree of academician, and my specialty the demography of population. And I could I could speak about this for a long period of time, but nobody knows. Nobody really knows what will happen. First of all, we need to fight and to win, and to see our victory. This is very important agenda for us, and it doesn't mean that the demographic challenges and threats are on the second place. No, it is paralleled with the focus of our attention. In my opinion, why I'm in public diplomacy? Well, because, for example, Kiev, good. Before the war, we have about 4 million of people with the migration from the suburbs. It was about a million and a half, or somewhere over there. With the beginning of the war, it was 1 million people in Kiev. March, April, maybe May. 4 million and 1 million. Today, our Mayor Klitschko, with the proofs of statistics, told us, and we can see it today, I can see it, really, trust me, a lot of cars, a lot of people, and with all these air attacks and bombing from time to time. 3.6 million of people. Now we have in Kiev region, and it doesn't include the suburbs. What it means for these migrants and refugees? A lot of our men and women as well, they fight on the front line, and they have got families. At the first stage, these families, they relocated to European countries. And today, a lot of them came back. Why? Because now we have all modern conveniences. We have our apartments, we have our flats, and we needed to be in friendly, but not your environment. Now we have job, we have salary, we have friends, but in focus, we would like to be here. We would like to come back to support our men and women on the front line, because each of us, someone sew the nets, someone make the dolls, someone like me have projects, and now we work 24/7, 7 days and 24 hours, day and night, without holidays, to help and to support our men and women in the front line. But a lot of women with children and elderly women, people, they stay at the territory of European Union in safety. They are supported, and a lot of them who stayed are women who subjectively, let us tell me that this is subjectively, okay? That these ladies, these women, they were not married. For example, they have got daughters, they haven't got sons. And here on the territory of Ukraine, we have a family that came back, that have men, their husbands, their brothers, some of their family on the front line, on the fronts, and they would like to support them. And they are not on the front line in more or less safety conveniences and situation. And among elderly people, as far as I know, a lot of them need medical assistance, health care. In Ukraine, in Kiev, now we have a very good healthcare system, and a lot of doctors and medical sisters, they came back, qualified and good qualified. with good equipment, with shelters in the accident of the emergency. And some of people, they were relocated not from Kiev, they were relocated from the front line. They have no place to come back.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter to be relocated to the Kiev or any other more or less safety region, for example, Western Ukraine, or to come to Europe that have more preferable schemes for support, faithfully.
Question from Lemuel. Oh, it's not this. It's from VV actually. Information has come out that in Ukraine, the study of the Russian language as well as the use of Russian in everyday life is prohibited. Are there people in Ukraine who want to speak Russian yet?
My answer to the first question, yes, but it means formal life. It doesn't mean informal communication. We can speak, we can sit in cafe. Yesterday, I sat in cafe with my friend who is from Donbass, and she relocated to our territory, to Irpin. I speak Ukrainian, and she speaks Russian, and no problem. This is the official place, but we speak different languages, Ukrainian and Russian. She couldn't command Ukrainian yet. No problem. But in formal life, yes, it is prohibited. And are there people in Ukraine who want to speak Russian yet? Yes, they like, but in formal life, no restriction. In your family, with your friends, or on the streets, no problem. Well, but faithfully, it depends on the region. And I promised Georgi to be transparent and open. What it means? Now in Irpin, we have a great number of good professionals. Oh, well, and from Kharkiv. This is the border city, and they know Ukrainian language, but they prefer, not everyone, but some of them prefer speak Russian. And at the first time, they relocated to the western parts of Ukraine. Then they came back to Kiev and Kiev region. Do you need my explanation why? Because as I said before, in Kiev region, and in more central part, eastern part, southern part, well, in informal life, it is your choice what language you speak. And in more western part of it is no discrimination in western part of Ukraine. No discrimination. No one could hit you in your face when you speak Russian. But they could give some recommendations. Why do you speak Russian on the street? Speak Ukrainian. You are in Ukraine. And that is why Kharkiv colleagues, they came here and they are very comfortable. They speak informal life in Ukrainian and in formal life in their families as they like. No discrimination. But it depends on the region.
So
no discrimination. I insist that no discrimination, but
I remember that in 2019, my lecture was in Russian. a very broken Russian, I would say. Even broken than my English. Much better than but my Macedonian is better than my Russian, Tane. So, but I remember that it was a public lecture at the university. It wasn't a problem to speak in Russian, and the audience was tolerant enough.
Georgi, it was in 2018 or 19. Today, you will be asked to speak English better, and anyone could translate. But yeah,
So
the
the word
situation
change,
differs.
yeah, there is a context, of course. There is a context. Tony Makedonsky from the city of Skopje, he wrote this. I suppose this should be a clear Ukrainian, Ukrajinska mova. I don't know if Tony used. Tony, da li si koristил Google prevodač? Možda mi napiši jedan komentar.
But I don't understand as the whole in general. I could understand about hate between simple Ukrainians and Russians.
Is there absolute hatred between ordinary Ukrainians and Russians? Because ordinary citizens, ordinary people are not guilty for the war. I think that you already answered in a certain way before, but Tony said that you could also answer in Ukrainian mova.
Я з задоволенням відповім українською мовою. Розумієте, є таке поняття, як рана. Рана. І у нас не залишилося людини, яка б не була поранена або вбита. І, розумієте, поки воно тут рана, воно поки не лікується. Це треба час, щоб зашити її, щоб її вилікувати. Я не знаю, може це буде сотні років. Знаєте, як між різними країнами такі бували, да? Як є? Як є? Рана. We are wounded. And it hurts. And I don't know how long time we will need to take care to have treatment of these wounds. You couldn't imagine what they have done with us. I no words to explain this. No words.
Alina, would it be okay to speak a little about the war crimes? I know it's a very hard thing, but first of all, before speaking about war crimes, I would like to mention it was related to what Vivi asked about the Russian language in Ukraine. The Russian in Tavria, on the north coast, this region north of the Black Sea, there are villages populated by Bulgarians, ethnic Bulgarians, who are Ukrainian citizens, who moved on these territories about 2 centuries ago because of the persecution of the Ottomans. In Ukraine, in the USSR, studying Bulgarian language was not allowed officially, but in Ukrainian Republic, Bulgarian is studied as a language in the program. There is a subject in Bulgarian language for the villages or towns with Bulgarian population. where Bulgarians form certain part of the population. So the Bulgarians in Tavria studied Bulgarian language in the Ukrainian school system. But now these villages are occupied by the Russians, and studying Bulgarian language is prohibited now. It's also good to know, I mean, these guys from Bulgaria who like the Russian politics and Putin, it's good to know because they claim they're patriots, but it's good to know that now the Ukrainian Bulgarians who are occupied can't study Bulgarian language. It's not the same in Bessarabia, where in Odessa Oblast, because they're free. So Bulgarian language is taught and studied in the school system of Ukraine. So it's also important to have this information for our viewers.
Georgi, could I thank you for your this information, because for the previous question I would like to make some additional information as well. I have a lot of friends who is Bulgarian by nationality, and in this southern region, and among my friends, and my close friend is Bulgarian by nationality. What I meant, what is this additional information? Colleagues, at the territory of Ukraine, we have Ukrainians, resident, non-resident, citizen, non-citizen, of different nationalities. And we have no discrimination to these people. My husband is Belarus, from Belarus by nationality, but he's a citizen and the residents of Ukraine. And among my relatives, Ukrainians by citizenship, we have Russian by nationality. No one could test you. Are you Russian? Are you Ukrainian? That what means Nazi. And we are not Nazi. That doesn't matter who are by nationality. No passport control. Are you Ukrainian? Are you clean Ukrainian? Are you total Ukrainian? 25% of Ukrainian. No testing. Trust me. And no fault for this Russian national origin. And people who is Belarusian, Belarus, they could communicate in their community Belarus language. They could communicate Bulgarian language. They could communicate Russian language or any other language, Moldova language. No prohibition here. But when we speak about aggressors, about people who take the weapons and who come to us and kill our children, our grandchildren, ruined our cities, our civilians. No words, no comment. What we are speaking about, and no national Nazi testing. Okay, I swear. No. My husband is Belarusian. Let us call him, and you can see that no testing. And I'm Ukrainian, and we are happy for 40 years together.
Now you...
Роше, Константин Дичев има интересно прашање.
Okay.
Константин Дичев има интересно прашање на...
Валя.
Да, и сега сакам само едно објаснување да дадеш после на Алина, како моја порака. И јас сум десен човек. И јас се поддржувам Украина. Значи, таа поделба либерали, десничари, left, right people, Разбираш што сакам да ти кажам? Дека не е тоа, како да кажам, црно-бело.
Understand.
Либералите ги подржуваат.
Yeah, so the question of Konstantin is related to the Bulgarian political context. So when we speak about extreme liberals, still we think about people who support Bulgarian membership in the EU and NATO, but have, let's say, more different approach to national values or some kind of national narrative. They're more open as liberals. So they claim that every person who is a right-wing person, even if the right-wing people also support Ukraine, but the liberals attack the right wings for Russophilia. For example, Tane is also a right-wing and person, as I am. In a certain way, we are right in our ideological point of views, but we are absolutely not Russophiles. Actually, we are probably very hard Russophobes. And
Yes, yes.
yeah, we are. But is there such a division in Ukraine? So if we look, probably we should look at the political landscape in your country. So is there division between the pro-EU political parties? As far as I know, these are parties like European Solidarity. Also, the singer of Okean Elzey is very pro-EU. I don't remember his party's name, but he is pro-EU. Probably Golos, voice. Also, Servant of the People declared to be pro-EU, and in this situation with the war, there is no other option. So the majority of the political spectrum is in Ukraine is actually pro-EU. Does it mean all they are liberals? And what to say with people who are right-wing, like more nationalistic, who respect more the traditions of the 19th century, who respect the traditions of the first Ukrainian Republic, which was built in 1918, the Battle of Kruti, even the supporters of Bandera, of not supporters, but let's say people who respect Bandera for his efforts to preserve national identity during Soviet regime. So if we look at the landscape as a spectrum, is there a division of pro-Russian and anti-Russian depending on the liberal conservative division? Because in Bulgaria there is such division.
Georgi and Konstantin, thank you for your comment and for your question. All you have told is true. But during this period of war, we have, God bless us, more consolidation. And in Ukraine, we like to argue, to discuss, to quarrel, pro, contra, failure, phobes, well, but majority of political parties, majority, almost all of political parties, it is focused on European Union integration. This is the choice of our Ukrainian population citizens, and that is why now we have got the war. You know the history, and you know the choice of Ukrainians in 2013. And I was among the Ukrainians who support this European integration. But before 2022, we really have some cons for EU and political movement and parties, and some who was more radical in this movement. But today, during the war, we can watch and be the evidence of consolidation. and the degree of this discussion, not to be or not to be. I don't mean the European integration. I mean some pros and cons for a lot of agenda, for policy, for how, for language, for now focus is our victory, and we work for this victory. But Georgi, do you remember once we have discussed the after-war period of time, and after this permanent consolidation, yes? Well, and now we can watch the elective cycle, policy cycle. Before the elections and the well, some manipulation with the electorate, and what is happening after the war with all this agenda. I'm not so optimistic with the consolidation of within the Ukraine, inside the Ukraine, with all this party. I think that we will watch more radical movements. We will watch some more Russian speaking language population from the eastern part, maybe from the occupied territory, maybe the part of the occupied territory that of speaking Russian language, and with some manipulated soft. But today we have more consolidation, and let us see what the future will bring us. That is my question. I'm not the politologist. Excuse me.
It's good. It will be important step, really important, the reintegration of the occupied territories and the achievement of national reconciliation. But while we can think about this, we can discuss this, but the truth is, as you said, the first thing is the victory. So the priority is the war and winning the war. And you already said your idea of what means victory for most of the Ukrainian people. Okay.
I wouldn't like to be impolite, to tell that we couldn't succeed in finding the links between the population from the territory that is now occupied and the territory of Ukraine without this occupation that is free. I really don't know. I really don't know. Someone of the experts, they say that, oh, this population, we could persuade them what to do, how to speak, how to, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
The example of United Germany shows that there are different social processes. For example, where the former communists are stronger in Eastern Europe, where this is the party called Der Linke, and Der Linke is the party which continued the tradition of the Party of Democratic Socialism, which is actually the former German United Socialist Party of Honecker. This is the Communist Party. So the Linke continues the tradition and is stronger in the East. But also there is more votes for the far right, which is, and it's interesting paradox that the most left party, Der Linke, and the most right party, the alternative for Germany, they're both pro-Russian in their rhetorics, which proves, I don't remember the horse, this sign from the political science, what they put on the horse. Maybe the people will remind me. I don't remember the name, but this is the shape made of metal. So this is a political spectrum. It's not like this, an axis. It's like a horseshoe, in order that the extreme left and extreme right are actually close to each other, and the center is far. So actually, the extreme left, Der Linke, and the extreme right, Alternative for Germany, despite their ideological division, being too left or too right, they are very close in something, in their extremism. And in our context, in the context of our conversation, they are very close for being pro-Russian political parties. And they are stronger in the Eastern Germany, which proves that even 30 years after the unification of Germany, there are plenty of social strata that should be thought about, and there are a lot of social processes which still continue to impact on the population's choices, preferences, attitudes. So it will take a long time, but it will be up to
investments.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Financial issues.
Yeah.
Georgi, well, Tane, colleagues, friends, I have got very smart students in my Kyiv Mohyla Academy. This is one of the leading university in Ukraine. And during one of our discussions about Germany, Eastern, Western, reintegration links, I have heard one interesting issue from one of my very smart students. He said, dear professor, you understand that eastern part of Germany and western part of Germany, they identified themselves, the population, as Germany people. In Ukraine, occupied territories since 2014 and the rest of Ukrainian territory, the Ukrainians from these occupied now territories, they don't identify themselves as Ukrainians, but now they used their Ukrainian passport, moved to your country, EU country, have shelter and positioning themselves as Ukrainians, very convenient. Good. But as mentioned above, we're not testing them. Ukrainian and not Ukrainian, Belarusian or not. No discrimination. Yes, okay. You have good passport, you have right, and in democracy of European Union to have shelter from the war. Yes, okay. But this is of national identification. And the case with Germany, it was more, and I agree with my student. Yes? How to find the link with the population with different national identification? I don't know.
Yeah, this is one of the things that makes things harder, more difficult. Still, as far as I know, even in the East, in Donbass, the Russians, let's say ethnically Russian people, or linguistically, are minority, or they were before the war, even in these areas. So even the language is not the main attribution of identity, because there, as far as I know, by articles that I read, there are Ukrainians who lost their language for different reasons. They remember that their grandparents spoke Ukrainian, but in big industrial cities with many Russian migrants who came to work, these people in 2 generations lost. But even in this way, they still identify as Ukrainians. But what really makes things very complex is that their spoken language is Russian, and in many ways, they're culturally driven by the Russian culture and influence. So it will be a really hard thing. I will be very open to discuss this after the war, after the victory, and hopefully we will think out some good ideas about this. How to
This
solve
is some cognitive confusion.
it.
But for understand and to clarify this confusion, someone need brains at least.
Yeah.
And to combat the propaganda and to combat this horrible situation when it is necessary to think and to use the brains. It's difficult to clarify this cognitive confusion. Paradox.
It is. Samu Gun, he's a viewer from Macedonia. He says, unfortunately, Ukraine is used by the great powers, USA and Russia, for their own purposes. Тане, дали го разбираш това?
Да, јас го разбирам тоа, сакам само да дадам како дополнување. Истиот став го користат и партиите во Бугарија што се на проруски позиции. Апсолутно истиот став.
И во Македонија, моля ти се, хајде сега. Само да гледаш камъка да фрлиш врху Българија.
Не, пошто во Бугарија, следам повеќе во Бугарија, не дека и во Македонија нема проруски партии, Јанко Бачев, Димитар Апасиев и така натаму. Сакам да кажам дека истиот став го делат проруските партии во Македонија и проруските партии во Бугарија. Проруски партии. Неутралните.
Не случайно исках ти да коментираш, Тане, точно защото знам, че този наратив се използва.
Да.
We had this so soft, short conversations to clarify that under this statement actually stays a specific political point of view, which is of political parties in Bulgaria and in North Macedonia who are pro-Russian, despite the fact that, as Tane showed, they proclaim they to be neutral. So they are neutral, but actually they say, oh, this is not really Ukrainian-Russian war. This is the West, NATO against Russia, and the Ukrainian territory is just the battlefield, but it's not Ukrainian. It's not a Russian-Ukrainian war. It's the West, as Putin said, the collective West against Russia. So what is your comment on this?
Briefly, okay? I like democracy. In our social media in Ukraine now, we have got a lot of experts with different views. Sometimes I asked my very smart colleagues, what is happening? Why so different views of different experts? And one of them told me, and it is Binga, he told me, this is the democracy, the democratic approaches to discussion, to everything. And the advantages of democracy is that every expert could deliver his or her own thoughts. And let us see, okay? Sometimes we need long-term prospects to understand the historical events, what is happening. For us here in Ukraine, it is sometimes so hard to understand what is happening because we are inside the system. We are participants, we are not the watchers. Let us see. Let us see the long-term prospect. This is my answer to my respectful colleague with his question. But my other is, okay, we are in democratic world with different views of different experts. Let us win. I mean, Ukrainian in our community with our support, the democratic world. Let us win, and please let us stop this global emergency, this magnitude, and let us stop this Russian new normality of war. In April 2022, I was invited with the International Association of the Universities of the Third Age to the conference to Athens, Greece. I have my speech, made the report, and then I was supported by some people and some citizens, some representatives of some countries, and I was not supported by the others. No problem. But some of two ladies, they were from Azerbaijan. They came to me, hugged me, and cried. Oh, we are so sorry because of this war. And then we have butcher, and I was crying day and night because it is 3 kilometers from me, and I can see all this with my own eyes. And I told them, no, I accept your excuses. I accept your support. Please excuse our Ukrainians. Please excuse us. We didn't understand what was happening with Azerbaijan when it was your war, your permanent new normality of war on your territory, with all these ladies raped, with all these people killed. We didn't understand. And in 1990, maybe 1990 plus, I have been to Yugoslavia, dear colleagues. And I had a lot of friends there. And I adore this countries. We moved from country to country, from, you understand, from republic to republic. Excuse me, I'm not good in the Georgi, will you help me?
Serbia, Croatia,
From state to state, from nation to nation. Well, and I adore this country. When I came back, I got to know about the war on this territory, and I also, sorry, excuse me, and I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what was happening. Sometimes it is so convenient to take distance. Sometimes it is so convenient to be in a rosy bottle of our dreams and to excuse your not to be responsible for everything that is happening on the globe with indifference, with not being, but not your awareness, not you personally. I mean global, abstract. Okay, dear colleagues, we are not here to. We are in discussion. Yes, in open discussion. Yes, and in Azerbaijan. That April, these two ladies told me, oh, you are happy because it is in social media. It is some internet online war, and everything that is happening, everybody could see on their TV and join and support and be involved in this situation. And this is absolutely true. This is the war, the hybrid war with new technologies, with new methods of propaganda, with new manipulation technologies. And let us see in long-term period, because the history sometimes needs medium period, long-term period to understand. We live in a very harsh, in a very with a great speed. We live in this world. Maybe it wouldn't be the long-term period. Maybe it we can see it in 10 years, maybe in 15 years. Who is right? Who is wrong? Is it USA and Russia? Is it the globe conspirology? Is it the tectonic something? But let us stop this new normality of war.
Very well said. And I would also add one thing. It's pretty normal for great powers to have their own interests everywhere around the globe. That doesn't mean that not great powers, the other nations, don't have their own interests and purposes. So, for example, for me as a Bulgarian, it is, of course, it is a moral issue to support Ukraine. And it's also an issue related to the international law to support Ukraine. But also in a political aspect, for me, as a Bulgarian, it is important for Ukraine to win, because I believe that a strong Russian Federation in the Eastern Europe will cause a lot of troubles on the Balkans. So I have moral, legal, and political reasons to support Ukraine. All of them are legitimate in a certain way. And that means that small nations also have their interests and purposes. Don't forget this. We are not only puppets in the hands of the masters of puppets, the people who lead us. We also have our own destinies, goals, national interests. Sometimes we should join efforts with other nations with their own purposes and interests. So on a moral, legal, and political level, for me, there is only one way. It is Ukraine to win this war. One of our viewers, Minchu Minchev, he asked us to tell you that during the First World War, a Bulgarian general, Ivan Kolev, he was a very famous Bulgarian general. He was born in Bessarabia, and then he was born in the Ukrainian part of Bessarabia. He came in Bulgaria, and during the First World War, he had to fight the Russian cavalry on the Bulgarian territory. And since there was such a division in our society, Russophiles and Russophobes, he said to his soldiers before the battle, he said, "Guys, I'm thankful to Russia for our liberation, but what Russians do now on the Bulgarian territory, on our land. So we will fight them and we will beat them as we will beat everybody who come to oppress now." And this is the symbolic thing. He was born in the Russian Empire, but he said, no, the first of all, we have the rights to protect our own country, our own state. So Minchu Minchev wants to say with this that he actually fully understands the right of Ukrainians to defend their land.
Dear friends, dear colleagues, I would like to to say that in my opinion, between 2014 and between 2022, it is the zone on comfort that now caused this war. The zone of comfort of someone that caused now this war. And maybe today we have a war, and this is so-called zone of uncomfort.
Yeah.
But you couldn't imagine. We are united in our understanding, our prediction that we are so united for our future, new future, new reconstruction of our nation, of our country, from the illnesses of the former USSR, from the propaganda. It is like a cold shower when you're almost frozen, but you'd like to live, and you'd like to be alive. And somewhere over here on my table, I have got my diary. When I was a little girl, not so little, maybe 10, 12, 14 years, I have found this diary. My father took and brought this diary from Donbass when relocated. And a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, I read, me, a good girl from a good family, intelligent family of doctors with Ukrainian, and I have written that, these USA aggressors, they combat our USSR values and the communist view. Oh dear! And I'm happy now that I have a choice to be treated, to be cleaned, to be reset from this virus. Thanks God. Thanks, thanks my nation. Thanks heroes of Ukraine. Well, and how many people, they are loaded with this propaganda till now. When I was 12 year old, it was so long. Well, and they are now infected with this propaganda, and it is horrible. We live in 21st century. I didn't even realize what is happening. Really. And I think that now we have the zone of uncomfort. We have the zone of real risks, threats, and I really don't know. Today I'm alive, sorry, but I don't know. We have every hour we have air attack. Every minute we have people killed. And that means I'm really happy that now I'm healthy.
Гоше, извини, тук има добър пример за това.
Да.
Ще го спомна ти за нападите враз Бугария, дека е фашистичка земя. Последният коментар на Стоянчо Автов. Само да го презентираме, това ще го кажа ти. Та компарация меѓу
So this is this gentleman who wrote the comment is from North Macedonia, and he actually makes again this comparison between. So this is a kind of anti-Bulgarian rhetorics, and part of what actually some people in North Macedonia, politicians, historians, are trying to project on our relationships. I will try to answer him because I'm not sure if Stoянчо speaks English. Стояне, това, което казваш, не е вярно. България защитава териториалната сигурност на Македония и винаги го е правила. Винаги го е правила. България признава македонската нация. И вие имате правото на своя история, на своя политика, култура и църква. Нямате право да фалшифицирате историята. Нали така? Фалшифицирането е престъпление. Никой няма право да извършва такова престъпление върху паметта на хора, които са живели, работили са и са оставили своето писмено наследство и своите дела като завет към нас. Това ще ти кажа. Държавата, която и обществото, и политическата класа, която прилича на Русия, е политическата класа на Северна Македония. Няма други политици на света, които да наричат своите съседи нацисти или фашисти. Путин нарича нацисти украинците, твоите политичари наричат фашисти нас българите. Това е. Харесва ти или не, ти играеш по свирката на Путин. I would like to add something different now, but it's compared to the comment of Minchu Minchev about this Bulgarian general. 2 days ago, we celebrated our national holiday, and it was actually the day when was signed the Treaty of San Stefano, and the creation of the new Bulgarian state was established at this day. This was the result of the Russian-Turkish or Russian-Ottoman War. What we have to know is that actually it wasn't war between two empires, but the soldiers in the Russian Imperial Army were from many, many different countries and regions of the Russian Empire. And we as Bulgarians should remember that the biggest part of the Russian army was recruited on the territory of Ukraine. And especially if you read the poem Opalchenците на Шипка by our great poet Ivan Vazov, he wrote about Bulgarians and Orlovci who did fight against the enemy. So who are Orlovci? These are the soldiers of Orlovsky Polk. And Orlovsky Polk was recruited in the area of Poltava. So the Bulgarian soldiers did fight together with people recruited in Poltava area. Remember this. Vazov wrote, Българи, орловци, кът лъвове тичат по страшния редут, ни сещат ни жажда, ни жега, ни труд. Bulgari Orlovci, Bulgarians and Orlovci, Orlovians. These are the soldiers from Poltava area. So we have to remember this, that many different peoples, ethnicities, nationalities take part in the Russian Imperial Army. And we should remember that all of them spilled their blood. This is why, since the days of the Third Bulgarian Kingdom, when we celebrate this day, 3rd of March, we read the names of all nations who participated in the war. We don't say Russians, only Russians. We say all Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, Finnish, yes, Romanian, etc., soldiers. We mention them all because they all did fight in this war. And as we speak of Shipka, this is our heritage that we have to respect together with Ukrainians. And we have to remember that the people of Poltava came here and died here. I have a great-grandfather who did fight in the Bulgarian Opalchenie in these battles. And I know this story. I know this part of my family history. On Shipka, they were together, people from all places of the Bulgarian ethnic lands and people from today's Ukraine. As for the summit, what he said, the main goal should be to stop this war. Georgi wants this war to continue. That's why he cheers on to Ukraine to win this war. Well, you have two possible options for ending the war if we want the war to end. Because if you want a frozen conflict, this is something different. Samugun. But there is a frozen this was a frozen conflict in Azerbaijan that mentioned now Alina, Nagorno-Karabakh, with hundreds of thousands
Yes.
refugees and internally displaced persons from Nagorno-Karabakh. And this was a frozen conflict for 30 years. It wasn't end, it wasn't peace. If we want peace, then we have to look for a long-term solution. And there are only two possibilities for a long-term solution. One, Russia wins. Second, Ukraine wins. So again, if I have to choose, I told you, I prefer Ukraine for moral, legal, and political issues. This is how I imagine the end of the war.
Oh, yes. After the end of this war, we will discuss the next agenda and challenges for the new world.
Alina, I'm afraid that maybe you're tired, and I don't.
A little bit, because tomorrow I will have lectures and projects,
Okay.
but and my English is not so perfect to explain in details maybe what
No.
I would like to express.
Everything is perfect actually, but I will know that speaking in foreign language is always energy consuming process, and we took a lot of your time for this, which actually really appreciate. But Ivan from University of Cincinnati has one more question. To what extent are Ukrainians worried about Putin might decide to use nuclear weapons against their country? We know that he several times played with this.
Thank you. To what extent? How to explain? Now we are in evolution during this year. At the beginning, we were very afraid of Putin can use nuclear weapons against my country, my family, our country, and our families. Somewhere in between, we were so exhausted, so tired. He tried on us everything that he could. Blackouts, bombing, inconvenience, relocation, everything. A great spectrum of inquisition, yes? And genocide of our nation. And that means that now, I wouldn't say that we are indifferent to use or not to use, but we don't afraid.
Okay, Argil Stumbov.
If it is the price, okay.
Yeah, if the price.
I stay here.
Yeah.
With my family, with my grandson, with my family. I stay here. If something will threaten again our lives like previous year, yes, we relocate to more safety territory. I'm not crazy.
Hmm.
Well, I would like to live. I would like to be happy and to live a long life. But if unpredictably,
Yeah,
we don't afraid.
you said it very precisely in the beginning of our conversation. We adapt. So it is too
No
often.
one. I wish no one to
Of
be
course not.
adopted
Yeah.
in
No,
such way.
what you did? I mean, what did you? What you
I
actually?
am alive. I
Yeah.
want to live.
Uh, yeah. I'm a little bit
I'm
exhausted
not
too.
crazy.
I mean, you
I
adapted to
understand.
you adapted to this to live
Yes,
in a state of uncertainty, which
uh,
is
yes. Be more resilient.
uh,
Be more modern with more technologies. We live in a good technological world, and I am absolutely sure that why we win will win because we live in 21st century, and the enemy lives in 20th century, and that means technologies, instruments, methods, brains, well, that is why we are more adjusted with the situation, I think.
hmm,
Really, I really think in political field and issues, in social, in even in economic, we are more mobile, more flexible. Well, this is in field of technologies. I believe in technologies as well. Well, technology,
technology.
a good look. This is a good technology. Uh, uh, yeah, you see, my son. But this is from vitamin. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Aha.
Okay. Oh,
Wow. So this is what you used during the bombing.
technology.
Yeah. I I remember when you sent me once a photo in a messenger. So you were in the basement. So you used something
Yes.
like this.
Yes.
Uh, our friend from North Macedonia, Argiris Tumbov, wrote to us that today he was at the Sunday service in church, and some lady explained that Mr. Putin was proclaimed by Russian monks in Mount Athos as a new Tsar of Russia. Nothing new under the sun. I mean, pretty fits the pretty well fits the Russian imperialist politics. Yeah, yeah.
That's why
And
I and my friends and you, Georgi, deal with the seniors and elderly people. Uh,
and
Ще да се ориентираме веќе кон
yeah, yeah. Hmm. Okay, so I agree. It's a kind of national socialism. Absolutely, the real Nazis today are in Kremlin. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, there, I wouldn't say many, there are pro-Russian parties in Bulgaria. Unfortunately, it's the same in North Macedonia. Here is not the place, Samogun. Here is not the place to blame each other who is more pro-Russian.
Ја,
The thing is, because we are all anti-Russian in this war, the thing is how to decrease the impact of these political parties.
ah,
My work here in Bulgaria is to gain support for people who will support Bulgaria's European development and Bulgaria's clear politics towards European Union, NATO, and support for Ukraine. Your work, your job, Samogun, is to do the same in North Macedonia. That means to not vote for DPMNE, to not vote for Levica, to not vote for Makedonski Concept, etc., who are openly anti-Bulgarian, anti-European, pro-Russian. So, and of course, do not vote for СДСМ.
Во Северна Македонија има партија Единствена Македонија од типот на Единаја Русија. Во Бугарија нема таква партија. Само како информација да ставиме за да не останеме со...
Не им давај такива идеи. Да.
За објасни го тоа на...
Really one last question for... it's from Naster, our friend from Велико Търново. But where is... I lost it. Къде беше Настер?
Настер, момент.
Някъде
го видях и после се...
Секунда сега.
Georgi, I've never been to Bulgaria. I need to come. And to shake hands and to have Tanya.
Interesting place, really interesting place.
North Macedonia. I am in North Macedonia.
Okay.
He's from North Macedonia, so you should visit both.
Yes.
You and your family is invited to come.
I've been to Macedonia. I've been to Macedonia, but I haven't been to Bulgaria.
And since one of our viewers made some correlation between Russia and Bulgaria related to Macedonia and Ukraine, but Mincho said, no, if there is something similar, it's different, that Russia steals history from Kievan Rus. Добре го каза. Така. Къде? На коя минута?
9:37, Настер.
9:37 твое време.
9:37.
Ще го намеря. Ето го. So, is the Ukrainian people starting to feel tired of the war, or the spirit and will for win are still high? Accept my deep admirations. Слава Україні. Путін Гандон.
Героям слава. Щиро дякую. Yes, we are tired. Yes, we are exhausted. But our spirit and will win are enormously high. And we don't have choice to lose. We win. We win. And I'm not a zombie. I feel in my heart because I'm here and I can see, I can hear, and it is something, friends, it is something unbelievable to be here. Look, it is when you are in a live book, inside a book, inside the history that is written. It is something unbelievable. I invite you. Come like the presidents of different countries, vice presidents, and common people. Well, come. And everybody who comes, he or she came back to his country, different men or women. I invite you, Georgi, Irpin, and Artur apartment is vacant.
So I will come.
But you
I will
couldn't
come.
imagine the university building is absolutely ruined, and they
Oh,
have opened the hub, the psychological hub, in this building of this university. And now we are going to have strategic sessions in Irpin. And in Bucha, in ruined Bucha, they are reconstructing, and they are building on the hurted and bombed ground and area. Now they are building the new trade center with a cinema, with a swimming pool, with the game area for our children. Now we have this reconstruction. It is something that couldn't give us, that could give us and can give, and we will, the only chance, the only opportunity, the only challenge. You will see, we win.
we will come, and I will come with
Yes.
channel. We will
Yes.
make an episode from Irpin.
We are ready.
And Konstantin Dichev, this is a kind of question. I don't see the question mark, but it is a question. What kind of Ukraine does Alina envision, or what after the end of the war? Without talking military outcome, I see a lot of potential in Ukraine to be like Poland, a small, great power, economically, socially, and politically. Yeah, why not? A small, great power.
And Georgi, could you help me to explain what does respectful Konstantin mean? Does Alina envision or want after the end of the war? What it means? Will you?
In the context, beyond the military part, I mean, we all agree that Ukraine should win and will win. But beyond the military part, what will be the geopolitical future and position? And according to Konstantin, Ukraine has the big potential to be a small, great power.
Yes,
Regional
okay,
power,
I understand.
economically, socially, and politically. So,
we have a lot of work to do now. Now we are combating, me and my colleagues, with the issues of corruption in our sphere. And it is the battle, it is real combating this corruption issue. And it is hard working. And in my chat, we have some now process of combating some issues of corruption, and I think that this is my front and my colleagues' front in the sphere of education on the top level. And yes, we will win not only on the military outcome and on the military area. We need to combat different and some things to become a part of Europe. European Union, we are the part of Europe, you know. And hard working, a lot of work to do. We work 24 hours, 7 days per week, without vacation, without weekends. That's why we are here.
Yeah. But you said it very well. It's the feeling that you are in the process of making history.
Yes.
It's something that will remain for decades and for centuries.
Yes.
Yeah, what is happening now, it really will have its impact for the future.
Yes, yes.
So I think that it was a great conversation, really great conversation.
Yeah.
Yes. It was my first, and I'm not sure that will be the second interview in so open way. And I'm really grateful to you, dear friends, for this atmosphere, for this openness, and I adore my friendship and professional relations with Georgi, and I really appreciate. Stay with us, please. We need you. Really,
We
really,
need you too.
we need you.
Дениска, Гоша,
A very
Дениска може да
a
завършим.
tough battle. It is very tough battle. Hard one.
Ане, кажи.
Дениска може да завършим само с слава Україні, героям слава.
Героям
Україні.
слава. Дякую щиро. Да. Все, да, Георгій, може вже дякувати? До побачення. Дякую.
Слава Україні, героям слава.
Героям слава. Дякую.